organization, because then how are we gonna tell the next person no? Like, that just seems like it's just not.
That's why I suggested that.
Yeah.
I'll contact Mr. Hackburn.
And I have a few other people in mind that are really good at that kind of stuff and have some experience. So if he doesn't work out, Mayor, if you want to reach out to me, I can make some phone calls as well.
Sure.
We will get it done.
Okay, thank you.
And I have both of your numbers to be able to contact you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Thank you very
much.
much. Next, we have the Franklin County Narcotics Unit Agreement. Administrator Stolberg.
This is an agreement that was brought about, I believe Murrah had a hand in it.
Big hand in it.
This is, we have been working, I guess, with the Franklin County Narcotics Unit for a number of years.
Several.
And this is just a formal agreement that is designed to protect the board of directors and any of the officers that work with the narcotics unit so that they are protected and insured. It gives the narcotics unit I guess it creates the narcotics unit as its own entity so that it can insure itself and its officers and all the board directors. So that's what it is, and that's what's before you.
So Chief, you're comfortable with this document?
I've read it and all the other board members have read it. It's also given to Attorney Voss to review as well.
I told Don it was all right.
Yeah.
So we just need a motion to accept the agreement.
I would think actually we need an ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. They're gonna want the mayor, they're gonna have the mayor sign it, or?
The mayors and the aldermen usually what they do.
I would think if you guys are fine with it, just put it on the agenda at the next meeting with an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of St. Clair to sign the attached agreement.
And I'll reach out
On
to
there,
the,
just make sure you guys are all okay with it, so that way he can prepare an ordinance, we get an ordinance ready.
I'll reach out to the task force commander to get a signing sheet for all of us to do that.
Yeah, because it did have a requirement for the elected officials.
Attorney Voss.
Nothing, Mayor.
Administrator Stolberg.
I got a couple of things. I've been talking to AT&T and also Charter. Charter is our current fiber provider. They only provide fiber for the city hall. I've been talking to both them and AT&T. We need reliable connections at both the wastewater treatment plant, this city maintenance shed, and the parks. The parks will get their more reliable connection if we can at least get to the maintenance shed and the wastewater treatment plant. And so I provided you with the AT&T rates, excuse me, for that.
Is that a month?
That is each month, yes.
What do we pay right now?
We pay $515 a month for 50 megabyte fiber service just for City Hall.
So that's almost triple.
And in order to get it to the wastewater treatment plant and the maintenance shed, Charter was going to do another $515 a month for each one of those. I know it's an expense, but one of the things that it's important for us to be able to communicate, and for the wastewater treatment plant and the maintenance shed to be able to communicate with us. If this is something that you think we we should not do at this point, we can certainly look at putting it in the budget for 2023.
I think we need to wait and see how it fits in the budget for 23 personally.
I do as well. I mean, I know we need internet, but
Don't most of the city employees have a cell phone? I know they're not all city issued, but is there?
They don't all have city issued cell phones. They have their own cell phones, yes. And
Which shouldn't be how we rely on contacting them, obviously, but.
No, and the other thing is that these connections also are for our security cameras and all of that. And I can tell you, the last month, our security cameras out at the park have been out more than they've been on. It's unreliable.
Since you just said that, are we still paying the man to check those cameras?
We are,
That are
yes,
out more than they're on?
we are.
It seems rather stupid. That's a pretty good word.
It's not his fault that they're out.
I agree, it's not.
but that's two cameras that he's not watching if they're not operational.
But yes,
Is AT&T the only, with Spectrum or anyone else?
I haven't reached out to Spectrum.
Spectrum is
Spectrum is
charter.
charter, yes. But I haven't reached out to like Verizon or anyone else like that.
So besides running the cameras, because obviously, even if we go this route and we have the increase, we're not going to give all of the employees a city-issued cell phone. So what's the benefit besides the security cameras? Like, I understand their internet will be better. Are you thinking because they're going to be able to receive email more efficiently? Or
That is-
what is your, like,
Rather than having to use their personal cell phones to receive and send emails
okay,
and to get things like the shut-off list. And, you know, all of these things we need the internet for, and we take for granted that we have the internet. But
are there computers already at those locations for them to utilize if the internet was there?
There
Or
are,
are we going to
yes.
have to buy them also?
no, they have computers there. It's just the internet is wireless and it's spotty and unreliable. It's just something that I really, really think that is necessary, and I wanted to get it into your thought process. Like I said, if it's something that we don't need to do now, we should think about putting this in the budget for next year.
Next year, not that far off.
Right.
No, it's not.
And I am all for seeing a budget that covers this expense if we can make that budget happen that way. But I think we need to wait until 23. personally.
And we can also craft it to where we don't do it all at once. We do maybe the wastewater treatment plant this year or this coming year, and then the maintenance shed, or vice versa, or whatever. Any more discussion about the high-speed fiber? We'll move on. Our per diem rates. Our per diem rates for meals and incidentals are a bit out of date. Not too far, but a bit. And it's costing some of our employees some money when you go to conferences and stuff. We currently allow $10 for breakfast, $15 for lunch, and $25 for dinner. And that may work for some, but like me, when I go to a conference, I don't go out to a restaurant, I go to McDonald's or whatever, and I don't even submit a meal. I just, but I do understand that some of our employees do want to do that, and it's fully within their rights to do that. The federal guidelines for this area, and Missouri, St. Louis, and Kansas City, and so on, generally have slightly higher rates. It's $13 for breakfast, $15 for lunch, $26 for dinner, plus $5 for incidentals. And in the Kansas City area and the St. Louis area, but we're too close to get, it's, if you have a conference in St. Louis, then it's a day trip. It's not, you don't do this. But if you have to go to Kansas City, it goes up another $1, 14, 16, and then another $3 for dinner. So the reason I bring this up is because one of our employees recently went to a conference, and the per diem did not cover the meals. A lot of that came out of her pocket, and this is one of our employees that has one of the lowest paid salaries of all of our employees. And so I don't think that that's quite fair, to be honest with you. So I thought it may be something that we need to review and to look at and maybe update. Bless you. I don't think it's anything monumental to raise it to the federal rate. And I think it will help our employees recover, and something that we expect them to do, to go to conferences and to educate themselves and so on. So I would like to ask that we revise our rates to the current federal standards.
You said that they sometimes have to take money out of their own pocket. If they were at home, they would be taking that money out of their own pocket to eat anyhow.
That is correct.
All of it.
That is correct.
The more education they have, not only means they're a better employee, but it also means they have room for advancement, which is in their favor. Now, we don't ask them for that, to reimburse that when we give them a raise. You know. Remember what I said about tightening the belt?
I fully understand tightening the belt.
I'm going to keep reminding you of it.
But I also think that if we expect our employees to educate themselves so that they can do a better job for us, if we ask them to go to these conferences so that they can keep up on the current standards and things like that, and if we want to keep our employees, because I will tell you that most cities go by the federal standards, by the federal guidelines. And I know that our employees probably are not going to say, well, they won't give me the extra $2 and I'm out of here. But it does add up. And when we don't take care of our employees in this manner, then they tend to look at it in other ways too. I think this is a small token that we can do to make our employees feel that we appreciate them.
And the guideline again was for breakfast, 13, lunch
13,
15?
lunch 15, and dinner 26. And that's outside of the Kansas City area. Kansas City was 14, 16, and 29.
And is that regardless of whether breakfast and lunch are furnished?
No. If a meal is furnished by the conference, they don't get reimbursed for that. It's just meals that are not furnished by the conference or whatever they're going to.
I really have trouble wrapping my head around this concept. Out in the public, the bricklayer, the carpenter, they have to pay for their own education. The pay for his own education. But in government, it seems like the taxpayer pays for everything. I mean, we all talk about the federal government, how crappy it is, and then we try to be just like it. And I just have a hard time wrapping my head around it. I know, I appreciate our workers, you know. Nobody paid me to go to school. Nobody paid my brother to go to school, so he could work where he works. And if he wanted to learn something extra, he had to pay for the education himself. Out in the private sector, you know, let's get into the government, let's let the taxpayer pay for all of it so they can feel good. I don't get it. Now, I'm not one that downs the federal government and then acts just like it, because I'm not gonna act just like them. I'm gonna do just the opposite. So, somebody make your motion to raise this, and I'm gonna vote no.
So you don't want them trained, or you don't want to feed them?
I don't,
I mean, that's what our bottom line here is.
no, that's not the bottom line. If they want the job, they can get the training on their own dime. Just
Okay,
like
well,
any-
nowadays,
just
that's not the case.
Just
If I don't
like
have my
any-
officers trained by the CEUs that they have to get by state mandated,
Right.
they can't be officers anymore.
And
They pay for it themselves, can't they?
No, that's why we have a training budget.
Okay.
Each officer, myself included, has to have a 24 hours of training. The per diem for the food and stuff, whatever you guys want to do with that. My problem is that, you know, you've got to pay for training, because if you don't pay for training to keep these employees trained, particularly the officers, okay, you're setting yourself up for millions of dollars of lawsuits over a couple bucks for a per diem for whether they get to go to McDonald's or whether they get to go to Golden Corral.
So
Is what it boils down to.
who set up this whole program that this?
The government.
Yeah, exactly.
But we still gotta go by it, Art.
You see what I mean?
I know, but we still gotta go by it. We have to keep the employees and the officers certified, or you're setting yourself up for lawsuits. You were worried last board meeting about a lawsuit over the mess up here in the right of way when somebody smacks into it, and we got that taken care of. Okay? Well, let's start being worried about making sure that all our employees are at least state certified and have all the certifications they need to keep Myrma from having to write a big old check for something that one of the officers screwed up on because they weren't trained properly.
What we're talking about here, isn't there so much specified training? Okay.
Our specified training and the additional
That
training.
goes on here isn't specified, it's just extra training, if I might. I don't know how to explain that.
Well, I get what
But a
you're
lot of
saying,
the
but there's a
training
lot of
is-
extra training that is needed
A
too.
lot of the training is either required because, I mean, your water plant operators and your sewer plant operators, they have requirements to meet certain training requirements every year. Our police officers have those. Our building inspector has to meet certain requirements every year to maintain his certifications. And these are things that we require of them so that they can work for us. And this is something that we pay for because we want the best of the best. We want the best educated, the best qualified, the best trained. And not only do we want that, but we want to keep them. And if we don't train these people, if we don't send them to these conferences and these training sessions and so on and so forth, they're not going to be the best. They're just going to be ho-hum average, and they won't be doing the best job that they won't be keeping up on current standards. They won't be showing us how to save money on projects. They won't be doing anything. They'll just be doing their job the best they can until they can find a better job because they want to be the best.
Basically, it boils down to you gotta have well-trained people to keep from being sued. Now, whether you all wanna make it to where all they can afford to get is roller meat out of a gas station or be able to go to Golden Corral and eat a decent dinner, that's up to you all. But the The bottom line is you've got to have top trained people to do